unfolding. And then a few minutes later, Miss Mad called Emily outside the room, and Emily got up and walked out the room. Now, I don't know what happened out there or what conspired, but Emily came back into the room very slowly and put her phone down and grabbed the papers and then sat down, all without saying a word. Now, this was an obvious whole personality change, shift, or whatever, because I was now like, what did Miss Mad say to her? So shortly after, Miss Mad walked in and checked that Emily put her phone up and then sat down without saying a word too. And now that I thought everything was done and over, the most entertaining thing that was going to happen in 2 hours is going to be in D-Hall, I was like, might as well get back to work, so I looked at my paper. So like, maybe 20, maybe 30 minutes later, I don't know, it was just dead silence for a long time. I heard like a faint whispering. Now, I don't think Miss Mad heard anything, because the second I heard it, I glanced up at her, and she was still typing away on her computer. Then I turned around to see what was going on, and this kid was talking to Emily about something, and I couldn't really understand what they were saying, but at one point the kid pointed to her lap, and he was making a confused face, and she straight up pulled out a phone from in between her legs with the biggest grin on her face. Now, I don't know how she had her phone on her. Maybe it was a second phone, probably not, where we were literally 13, 14, I don't know. But she turned back around and was just casually on her phone, and it was obvious because she had a bright light beaming into her face out from under her legs. And I was literally just glancing at her and then at Miss Mad for like a whole 3 minutes, waiting for something to happen, because it wouldn't be long until Miss Mad's timed glances at us for like 5 minutes, literally just looking around, making sure we're doing our work, instead of actually getting up and checking. But like I was waiting for and anticipated, Miss Mad looked up at us and saw Emily staring down her legs with a light beaming into her face. And like how literally everyone else in the room put two and two together quickly, Miss Mad stood up and went, "Emily, why do you have your phone out? Put your phone in the basket right now! We just talked about this and the consequences earlier." And Emily just blankly stared at Miss Mad, like no response, just blinked at her. And then Emily went, "No, I'm not putting my phone up, and I don't have to, and I don't want to. You were bluffing earlier with the phone. You didn't even call anyone. I can care less about your empty threats. How about you sit down and go back to typing away?" And me and like the other 7 kids in the room were all equally shocked and flabbergasted. We were hornswoggled, but at the same time we all had grins on our faces and were at the edge of laughing. And I was on the very edge of laughing, but I wasn't trying to get yelled at, especially right now with how heated Miss Mad already was. So then Miss Mad hit back with, "Do you really want to find out how empty my threats are? Do not test me right now, young lady. You're already way out of line, and I've given you chance after chance. So put your phone up and get to work. This is your final warning." And Emily being Emily, and from what I've already seen, I had a good idea what she was gonna say. Emily went, "No," and then grinned at Miss Mad, which I saw coming from a mile away. And then Miss Mad just started yelling at Emily, and then Emily was arguing back, and I was just looking at other kids like, is this really happening right now? Like what? And I was just surprised that this teacher was really finna sit here and argue with a 14-year-old, like bruh. So after they went back and forth throwing their verbal attacks at each other for like good 5 minutes, and then a teacher's aide walked in to pick up one of the kids that time was up for his attention. And I'm guessing he only had an hour, but while she was mid-sentence, she realized what was happening and then asked Miss Mad and Emily to come outside. Then it was back to the silence, and the kids in the back room started talking, and I was just sitting there pretty entertained, but also sad knowing I have another hour in this room. So after a little bit, Miss Mad walked into the room and said sorry for everything that happened in the last hour, and she sat down. And the teacher aide walked in and got the other kid, and I don't think Emily was coming back, because like another 10 minutes went by and no Emily. So for the rest of my time, I pretended to write stuff down while staring at the almost blank piece of paper. Then I left confused and baffled and hornswoggled by what just happened, but it was less boring than sitting in a boring, quiet room and doing nothing.